Disneyland is often referred to as the happiest place on earth. Families gleefully drop tens of thousands of dollars for the thrilling, euphoric experience of hugging their favorite character for as long as they want to, because they're not allowed to let go until you do, and eating food shaped like mice, which makes it 10 times more shocking when something horrifying and deadly happens there, particularly when someone loses a life. Welcome back to another video essay here on the Dadvocate channel. I do want to start off today's video with a bit of a trigger warning, as this does deal with the topic of a person removing themselves from Earth. Sorry, YouTube censorship makes me talk like this. If you're not in the right headspace for this, I completely understand and will not be offended if you skip this video. But for everyone else, buckle up as we dive into the story of Chris Christensen, his fatal jump at Disneyland, his toxic marriage, and the false allegations that drove him to his decision. Before we get any further, we are going to take a quick moment to hear from today's sponsor, and I am so excited about this one. Today, this video is sponsored by MyHeritage. I say all the time that every kid wants to know where they came from, so of course I'm excited to get my results. I don't know if there's going to be many surprises. I know for sure it's basically going to be Slavic as The first thing you're going to want to do is activate your kit. Instructions, super easy. 1 page. Step 2, open the test kit and lay out the unopened swabs and vials on a clean surface. Step 3, remove one cheek swab from its wrapper and use the swab head to scrape the inside of one of your cheeks while rotating the swab for 30 to 60 seconds. Step 4, open one vial and insert the swab inside, swab end down. Once the swab touches the bottom of the vial, break the swab against the inside edge of the vial at the marked black line, leaving the swab end inside the liquid in the vial. Then step 5, close the vial cap tightly. Step 6, swab your other cheek with the second swab. Insert the swab into the second vial. Step 7, make sure the vial caps are closed tightly. Place both vials on the cotton pad in the clear plastic bag and close the ziplock. Now, place the bag in the enclosed addressed envelope and seal the envelope. Now I just put this in my mailbox and find out where I came from. All right, it's time. My DNA results are in. So let's check them out. Okay, so off the jump, 43.3% Balkan, 22.7% North and West European, expected 34%, 2 other ethnicities. What are they? View full estimate. Interesting. So it kind of gives you like a wide bubble of like where you're from. This is crazy. So it shows you your still alive family members and even gives you opportunities to contact them. I got family in Poland, Hungary, looks like. Okay, so before this, I thought that I was Ukrainian, Polish, French, Irish, Belgian, and German. As it turns out, I am all of those things, but I am also even more of a mutt than I thought I was. This is so cool. Thank you so much to MyHeritage for sponsoring this video and giving me the opportunity to learn so much about where I came from. To try out MyHeritage, use the link in my description down below or the QR code on screen right here to get your 30-day free trial, and use my code DADVOCATE for free shipping. Thanks again to MyHeritage. This Balkan is getting back to the video. Chris Christensen was born in 1971. He had a well-known and celebrated 20-year career in education, spending 11 years as the principal at Courez Elementary School in Fountain Valley, California, before transitioning to a new role as principal at Newland Elementary School in Huntington Beach. Chris was also a talented musician and played the cello in many performances across the U.S. Details of his early life are not widely publicized, but one can guess that he probably spent a lot of quality time at the Walt Disney theme parks, as his father, Jim Christensen, was a longtime music director for the parks and oversaw the All-American College Orchestra at Disney World. For a short time during Chris's childhood, when his father first moved to California, they even lived right across from Disneyland. While plenty of men like to keep their lives private, Chris was even more private than most, in part possibly because of his highly regarded professional role in administration, and in part possibly because of his divorce. Chris married during his younger years, and with her ended up having 3 children, and while it's not known what led to their divorce, it is known that Chris never stopped speaking well of his ex-wife for the remainder of his life. It was always important to Chris that he could maintain the most peaceful environment for his children. A few years after their divorce in 2015, Chris would meet a woman who would change his life forever. A woman named Marlena Schuster. The two had an extraordinary amount in common. It was almost unbelievable. They both had 3 children from their previous marriage. They both got married around the same time, they both got divorced around the same time, and they'd both been single for about the same time. They hit it off, and before long, they had fallen head over heels for each other. Despite finding someone and sharing such an intense connection, Chris chose to keep this relationship private from most people, possibly to avoid jinxing it like his last one, or possibly to keep people from seeing how toxic it really was. Once Chris started getting really serious with Marlena, he became very withdrawn, and his contact with his children became almost non-existent. When they voiced their concerns, Marlena took it as a personal attack and responded with hostility. Marlena discouraged Chris's relationship with his daughters, seemingly jealous of any attention he gave them. One of Chris's daughters, Brittany, shared this text message that Marlena sent her before his death. Here we can see the last message Brittany sent to Marlena was a happy birthday, hope all is well. And now we hear from Marlena with, "You're a horrible, disgusting excuse for a daughter and sister. Go find your dad, play the hero, but it's me he will be missing in the morning." There is a term used in the darkest dredges of the stepmother community by stepmoms just like Marlena called mini wife syndrome. And it's a term that toxic narcissistic stepmoms like Marlena use to make a healthy, normal relationship that a father and a daughter share very weird for no reason. These stepmoms often believe that these daughters are trying to replace them as wives. They see any affection between the father and the daughter as a direct threat. They see any opinion that the daughter may have on her own life as trying to take over the motherly role. As a stepmom myself who has been involved in the stepmom community and seen this weirdo behavior several times, that's all I can see here, especially in that last message. Go find your dad, play the hero. This tells me that Marlena resents that Brittany defends her dad and takes his side. Followed by the, "but it's me he'll be missing in the morning."
Ugh. Brother, ugh.
And what that tells me is that Marlena is trying to actively compete with her stepdaughter for Chris's attention. Which is weird. That's something an insecure girlfriend would say to her boyfriend's ex-girlfriend, which is already awkward and not demure, but 10 times more awkward and not demure when you're saying it to his daughter. As if it would even be wrong for him to miss his daughter. And these messages were sent to Brittany by Marlena after Marlena keyed the shit out of her car. Allegedly. See, that day Chris and Marlena had gotten into an argument in which Chris tried to finally break up with Marlena, and he left and went to go stay at his daughter's house. The next morning, Chris and his daughter would go outside to find her car keyed on every panel. Brittany filed a police report citing $6,000 in damage and even provided Ring doorbell footage from Chris's own family home camera that showed Marlena leaving the house at midnight, the night of the incident, and returning with the car that Chris drove there. This video footage proves that Marlena was there the night that the car was keyed. The text messages prove that Marlena held animosity toward Brittany the night that the car was keyed, and yet it was all deemed unresolved because the police decided that was not sufficient evidence. Yeah, I guess apparently they needed to catch her comically red-handed writing her full legal name and social security number on the car. It's shit like this that leaves victims feeling hopeless. Brittany said that Marlena had been targeting and harassing her family, including her husband, for some time now and wished that Marlena would just leave them alone. But this would only be the start of problems for their family. A few months after the car keying incident, on November 15th, 2022, just as Chris was finding a way to get out of his toxic relationship, a call was placed to the local police department by Marlena Christensen, alleging battery and child endangerment done by Chris Christensen. Chris was arrested and booked, where he was held in jail for 2 days before posting a $10,000 bond, but he was far from free. Chris was immediately placed on administrative leave from his role as principal at the high school. His savings were being rapidly depleted, and he felt like his life was falling apart. So, Chris went to Disneyland. As he walked down Main Street, through Adventureland, past the Pirates of New Orleans Square, he marinated in the nostalgia of all the years that he spent going there with his father, his family, his daughters, performed there, felt alive there. As the Big Thunder Mountain Railroad coaster crashed loudly around him in Frontierland, his thoughts raced and spiraled as the creeping realization of his looming criminal charges over him led him to believe that he may never get the opportunity to perform on these stages ever again. As the sun began to slowly drift into the beginnings of a sunset, Chris left the park and headed to the Mickey and Friends parking structure, where he pulled out his phone, opened his drafts, looked over what he'd written one last time, and then made his final post to Facebook. This is that post. It reads, "I hate when people leave this earth with so many unanswered questions, so I hope this provides some insight and perspective. This is my wife, Marlena. Yes, you heard me correctly. Most of you don't know this, but we privately married 3.5 years ago. Marlena and I love and adore each other, and our relationship has been amazing. Up until recently. Unfortunately, 2 weeks ago, she and I got into a heated argument at home in front of the girls. Tempers were flared, and strong words were exchanged between us. However, never in this exchange did I hit, slap, or hurt Marlena in any manner. Nor did I ever touch the girls. I never have and never will. I love the girls like my own, and they know that, as does everyone else who truly knows me. Unfortunately, Marlena's anger got the better of her that night, and she called the police, which landed me in jail that night. Yes, me, a man who has never hit or harmed anyone in his life. I think it's safe to say that Marlena truly regrets making that call, because the events of that night have completely unraveled both of our lives. I am on the brink of losing my job, as I am out on administrative leave until my case is resolved. However, the legal system is extremely flawed, especially against men and fathers, and it's sickening how quickly and easily an innocent man can be thrown in jail based on zero evidence or proof. In fact, take a look at the attached screenshots of Marlena's message to my friend about the matter. She too had no intention on having this night come this far. She knows I would never hurt her or the girls, and she too has been trying to clear my name with little success. Again, the legal system is deeply flawed, to say the least. So here I am, writing my final Facebook post to all of you. I need you all to know that a gentle, kind, loving, and sincerely good man has been destroyed by one unfortunate night. It really is unfortunate. This is not me. This is not something that I ever thought would happen to me. With all of this said, I have truly loved educating and leading thousands of students and families as a principal in FVSD for the past 21 years. I have made so many wonderful connections with families over the years, and those who know me closely know how much I cared for my students, staff, and families. Please remember me for all the good I brought to the world of education. To all of my musician friends, thank you. Thank you for performing with me over the past 30 years. We have had a blast performing all over and creating such fond memories together. Music has been a wonderful outlet for me, as it has allowed me to have a different and creative world outside of my day job as a principal. I am sad to say that last night was my final performance. However, it went very well, and I am proud that my final performance was a success. I have always loved performing, especially during the holiday season. I am going to miss it dearly. There is so much more I want to say, but I'm going to spend the rest of today reaching out to those closest to me to let them know how much I love them. This is not an ideal way to go out, but at least I get a chance to say some final words to those who I love and adore. Take care, everyone. Please, please, please be kind to one another. Treat each other with kindness and grace. There is too much anger in the world, and people need to start treating each other better. What I've shared with you above is a prime example of how anger can really have a long-lasting and extremely damaging effect on a person's life. It is then that Chris made his way to the Mickey and Friends 60-foot-tall, 6-level parking lot structure, the largest in all of the park. Between his own and his father's long-standing extensive history with the parks, it's likely that Chris knew of this parking structure's dark history. What Mickey and Friends don't want you to know and work very hard to cover up is that this parking structure has played host to the end of multiple men's lives long before Chris ever made his last trek up those stairs. In 2006, a 36-year-old man used the structure to jump to his death. In 2010, a 61-year-old man made the same exact jump. In 2016, right around the time of Chris's divorce, it was reported that a 40-year-old man was the third to use the structure to take his own life. This is not common knowledge to most, but with Chris's close proximity and working relationship to the parks throughout his entire life, it's not unreasonable to believe that Chris not only knew about these cases, but was haunted by them. On December 3rd, 2022, Chris Christensen became the fourth man to leap from the structure and was pronounced dead that evening. In the aftermath, Marlena would leave this comment on Facebook. I said thank you to someone who actually acknowledged that none of you know the full story. I'm living in a nightmare and trying to grieve. Chris was the love of my life and I am crushed at what happened. I didn't make him do this and it's not my fault. I am not sick. I just know in my heart what's true. While there may be truth to the grief that Marlena expresses, it's hard not to notice how defensive she is. None of you know the full story. It's not my fault. I'm not sick. Now, while it makes sense to want to defend yourself when you're being accused of something, this comment was just an added punch to the gut to Chris's daughters, who honestly believe that Marlena fabricated all of the events on the night of November 15th that led to his arrest, and who believe that Chris would still be with them today if she hadn't. Brittany and her sisters insist that Chris was never a violent man and would never lay a hand on anyone, including a child. Even Chris himself expressed in his final letter that he believed Marlena regretted her decision to call the police. If we are supposed to believe that Chris did commit battery to both his wife and a minor child, it's just really difficult to believe that this would be the first ever sign of that behavior in all of his years as a husband and a father who has seemingly been able to maintain healthy relationships with anyone, from his ex-wife to an entire population of high school families. And if it's true that Marlena lied about the events on November 15th, leading to his incarceration, being put on administrative leave from his job, and ultimately to his fatal mental spiral, then Marlena is continuing to do harm to him and his family by not coming clean about what really happened. The charges were dropped after Chris's passing, so maybe in Marlena's mind that's as good as clearing his name. But in my opinion, and I'm sure in many of yours, if Marlena really did love Chris as much as she claims to, then if she lied, she owes it to him and his family to own up to what she did. But considering Marlena deleted all of her social medias and has kept a very low profile since this happened, it's unlikely that we'll ever get complete closure as to what happened. It's impossible to know what was going on in Chris's or any of those other three men's minds as they stood at the top of that parking structure. But we do know that they all had something in common. Each and every single one of those men felt like they had no other options, and each and every single one of those men just wanted to be somewhere that they could feel happy one last time. I want to remind each and every one of you watching that you always have options. As you watch this video right now, in this moment, you are safe. In this moment, there is no emergency, so just take the time to embrace that. I'm going to link down below some resources, not just your usual emergency resources, but also some groups that I personally recommend to recently divorced dads, dads going through custody battles, and some other resources for men. Chris's family, colleagues, and students remember him today with a deep mix of sadness and respect for his passions and contributions to the educational community. His daughters continue to advocate for him and for the need for more support for other individuals in similar situations. At the end of the day, false allegations ruin lives. The odds of Marlena's accusations being true, especially after all of her actions of hostility and aggressiveness, especially after the keying of the car, are incredibly low. It's also impossible to know what exactly was going on in Marlena's mind, but we do have some idea because of the text messages she shared and interactions she had, and in my opinion, Marlena is a twisted and deranged individual. It is always a red flag when your romantic partner tries to isolate you from all of your friends and family, especially your children. It should always raise alarm bells if someone tells you that you are spending too much time with your kids. As we wrap up today's case, I want to know what you think. Do you believe Marlena made a false police report that night, as all of Chris's friends and family do? If so, do you believe that it's Marlena's responsibility to clear his name? What do you think should happen to individuals who make false allegations? And similar to cases like Michelle Carter's, who was charged with manslaughter for encouraging the death of her boyfriend, do you think that people who drive people to their psychological breaking points should be held criminally liable? Let me know down below, because I will definitely be reading the comments. If you enjoyed my coverage today, please hit like on the video, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss when I go live. Thank you again to MyHeritage for sponsoring this video, and remember to use my code Dadvocate and the link down below for free shipping on your DNA kit today. Stay safe, be discerning, and look out for each other. I'll see you in the next one.